Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast. That's the sound of the police.
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
Okay, how do I stop
That's
this
the
fucking
sound
thing?
of the peace.
How did you find cop car scene? Oh, ambulance. That's much better. I'd much rather be an ambulance chaser.
Hi, guys.
Oh.
And girls. And them bees. Welcome back to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics, both sober and drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusion. We have not been here for a while. We have disappeared. But now we are back.
How do I get out of this hellscape, Willows?
Tyler's, the light that's behind us, Tyler's like fucking around with the different modes.
I can't go like normal mode. It's just like cop car, ambulance, fire truck.
We're allowed to explain now why we haven't recorded in a month. Do you want to tell the audience?
No.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode. This has been episode 118 of Alcohol Beyond This Point. You can follow us, Alcohol Beyond This Point, on Facebook. Follow Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram. Thank you.
So now we're back. Top 10 things we were doing in June besides this.
Top 10 things we were doing in June. I'm going to cut all of this out. Let's just start here. Hello, welcome back to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics, both sober and drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusions. My name is Willows.
My name is Tyler.
And we have been missing. We have been MIA for like a month and a half.
Sorry.
Tyler, do you want to explain why we've been MIA? Because now we can talk about it. I've made public announcements now.
I mean, I do, but I'd rather you do it first.
Okay, fine. We're moving into a new bar.
Wow.
My winery, which I own, and don't let anyone tell you that I don't own 50% of my winery.
Are people saying that?
No matter what you would read in the... Never mind. Don't Google it. My winery is moving. We're moving into a new building that's going to be like 3 or 4 times the size of our current building and 10 times the size of the bar, or 10 times the seating at least.
Yeah.
So we're going up to 100 seats in the bar. Patio eventually, not this year, we won't get it done in time before the winter, but patio, space for events, really, really cool. And Tyler has been gracious enough. I mean, I've been giving him money, but he's been gracious enough to be the GC on this project and helping us build the bar. We're like 2 weeks from open, and we haven't even started building the bar yet.
Well, the bar itself, yeah. I mean, to be fair, we're also building a wine production facility, so...
What's that?
Yeah, so it's a lot of work. It's a big footprint, and we're
So-
doing it in our free fucking time.
Yeah, and if you're listening of the show or follow me at all, I also acquired another business, like a 6-figure plus business in June, like a month ago.
Which we talked about.
Which we've talked about at length, but just so the context is, I'm running 2 businesses that are doing like, combined $600,000 in sales while doing renos in like my free time in quotations. So
this podcast has suffered.
Yeah, so we basically, the Wednesday that we had earmarked every week to do this podcast, we said, okay, let's just spend it doing renos instead.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing for like a month, basically. But this week it was just like, you've already been there a couple times this week.
Yeah.
We just finished doing the floor, like the epoxying the floor, so like we couldn't really walk on it, so we had to like move all the equipment out of the main room, and it's like
a lot of fucking work.
It's a lot of whatever. So we were just like, you know what, fuck it, podcast, because I think we had both said separately that like, we've said before, like, this podcast is pretty therapeutic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm feeling it. I'm like missing it.
I need some catharsis.
So it's like
Absolutely.
nice to do one every so often, because the original plan was to do it like every second week.
Yeah.
But then we just got so fucking busy with the renos, we just like didn't have time to not do it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, technically we don't have time today, but we kind of don't have anything else to do. We're kind of hung up on other people. So
yeah, we're like waiting for the electrician to do something. We're waiting for the plumber to do something. There's not a ton more, because we need to basically just close up the walls now.
Yeah.
But we can't do that until we get an electrician inspection or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a health inspection on Monday scheduled. I can't like put in more shit until my preliminary health inspection is done. Like we're basically kind of just
Yeah.
So
Stuck. I mean,
we're stuck. Yeah.
Fucking story of my life, man.
Yeah. So it is what it is, but that's been fun. So that's actually, we've been keeping that under wraps since January. We moved into this building. So it's been 7.5 months since we started doing the renos, basically, or at least started applying for the permits to do the renos.
Right. We didn't start working on it until, 3 months ago?
Yeah, January 12th I was in the building, but then we had to get like a demolition permit, a construction permit, et cetera, et cetera. So we didn't actually start building, but about 3 months, about that.
Yeah.
May, maybe.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of, taking out old walls and expanding the space. But the really cool thing was the building's almost perfect the way it was.
That's why we picked it.
We literally moved one wall, and then one bathroom had previously existed, and then they had ripped it out and turned it into like a weird locker room.
And now we're just turning it back into a bathroom.
Turning it back into a bathroom. So we're like, we got to put up like 2 walls, and we moved one other wall, and then it's like perfect.
Because another building that I looked at
sounds like not a lot of work, but when it's when it's a 1960s building, it's a lot of fucking work, and it's big. Everything's big.
So I'll try to make this like positive for people listening, because actually I had 2 different people that I know that have like moved away that just happened to be visiting this week, and they hit me up and we hung out, and both of them said, I listened to that full episode when you acquired the business. It was actually really good. I'm like, and they thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to do the same thing here with maybe you're looking into a commercial space with your business and you've never done that before. We toured like 12 or 13 buildings.
Yeah.
And great way to do this is just hit up a real estate agent, commercial real estate agent. Here's what I did. Ask my friend who's a house real estate agent, residential real estate agent.
Yeah.
I'm sure listening, you all have those, because
everyone knows somebody. Yeah.
We need to investigate the pipeline from club bottle girl to real estate agent, because I feel like that's like every aging club girl that I know is now getting a real estate agent's license. Anyway, so text one of them and ask them.
Text your bottle girls. One of them will be a realtor.
Yeah, and ask them if they have any realtor friends or that works in the same office that does commercial. They'll probably refer you to somebody. So that's basically what I did. It wasn't
also,
a bottle girl.
Rule number 1, use a fucking realtor.
Use a realtor, guys. Stop.
And a lawyer.
This building that I'm moving out of, I negotiated that myself off Kijiji, which is Craigslist, essentially.
For civilized people.
Yeah. Don't do that. I would recommend just because.
But you guys still were like pretty savvy negotiators overall.
We were 18 years old.
Later on, though.
Yeah. So, I just never let people take advantage of us.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, well, I can't afford it, they don't get paid by you.
Right.
They get paid by the agent or by the person listing the property.
Yeah.
Pays a commission to the agent that brought the client to you or whatever. So you're not paying anything out of pocket.
Yeah.
So use them. So they gave us, they're like, okay, just give us what you want broad, right? Yeah. So we're like, okay, between like 6,000 and 10,000 square feet in these 3 neighborhoods, these 2 zonings.
Yeah.
And then they got a list of like 50. We scrolled through them, narrowed it down to like 10, and then we toured like 10. They added a couple more as we were going, but we toured, I think, total of 12 buildings. And some of them, as soon as you walk in there, you're like, no, this is not going to work. But you have to, it's hard. The pictures, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
But something like you walk in, you're like, no way. And we had it down to 2 or 3. 2 for sure.
Yeah.
This one and another one. And the other one actually probably would have been better. I don't want to say better, but it's just different.
Yeah.
But the thing was with that, it was a completely empty shell of a building.
Right.
So we would have to have built out everything. And we would, if we're running out of money now, which for the record we are, we would have fucking ran out of money before we even got anything done.
And also there wasn't, well, I guess you'll talk about this yet, but like financing to do any renovations.
The landlord, so
like the empty shell wouldn't have been a deal breaker if it would have been better terms.
Yes. So here's something that I'd kind of heard about, but I never done it before.
Yeah.
Which is TI, tenants improvement allowance.
Yeah.
So very, very common. Like I'm sure you can vouch for this. Very common in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Where because you're signing like I signed 10 years in this new building.
Yeah.
That's a multi-million-dollar contract, right?
Yeah.
I'm paying whatever the rent is, 80 grand a year for 10 years. Like, you're paying a lot of money.
Almost $1 million contract.
Let's do the math.
800,000. 80 grand a year for 10 years. It's $800,000 contract.
Okay.
But still, $800,000 is a big fucking contract. That's like a nice house.
Yeah, so no, that's a shitty house in nowadays.
Oh, right. That's a porta potty in Toronto.
But anyway, so what's very common is that the landlord will put in money or work to make the building more suitable for the tenants.
Yeah.
So that they'll sign a longer contract. And a lot of them like it because you're only improving your own building.
Right.
Right. All the work that we're doing improves the fundamental value. New HVAC, new air conditioning, new heaters, paving, like whatever, new walls. Like all of what we're doing is improving the value of the property, which I do not own.
Yeah. Updating 70-year-old electrical.
Yeah. So it's just work. So basically we negotiated originally what the negotiation was. He was going to do all this work. So he was going to be like, replace these windows, put it in HVAC, whatever. But we have such weird specific needs.
Yeah.
He was like, you know what? What if I just give you a certain amount of money and you do everything?
Yeah.
And we're like, bet. That works out better for us, actually. So we negotiated. He was going to give us about $110,000.
Yeah.
In essentially cash.
The way it's calculated is a rough dollar amount per square foot of building.
Yes, exactly that. So that's, I think, if you were negotiating, typically you would negotiate per square foot, $8 a square foot, whatever it is. And then the deal that we negotiated was we pay for 40,000, he gives us 40,000. Then we pay for 40,000, he gives us 40,000, then we pay for 50, he gives us 50 or 30 or whatever it was. And here's something I always say that people are always confused by, like with commercial real estate, everything's up for negotiation.
Yes.
There are no consumer protection laws.
Yeah.
Everything is up for negotiation.
There are no guardrails. It's corporation versus corporation. Yeah. There's no rules.
So,
except for whatever the only law is contract law and like fraud.
But that's just whatever you agree to. Yeah, as long as you don't commit fraud, you can basically agree to whatever you want.
Yeah, you can commit tax fraud though. That's okay.
Yes. So my lawyer and my real estate agents just did all that negotiating for me, basically.
Yeah.
And then just told me about it, which is, I'm getting to the point in my career where I can just like, yeah, you guys go handle it and just give me the Sparks notes afterwards. Yeah. It's nice. Also costs a lot, but it's
realtor versus nice. Realtor, lawyer versus lawyer. It's the way it should be done. Yeah. It's the way that they prefer it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it will be better for you.
Yeah. So, and then, we hired actual professional architects and engineers this time instead of doing all the fucking dumb work by ourselves last time with no qualifications.
Yeah, well, for the key points that really matter to permits and planning, but not on the design front. The design we're still doing, or I'm doing rather.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm doing the design aspects of the finishing, but the like structure, shape, occupancy, layout, all that of the building is all professionally done.
And that was mostly because we only had a set amount of time.
And you need professionals to do that.
Yeah. As soon as you start getting big projects like that we're in now, I mean, big in quotations.
They're not going to, well, I mean,
you can't really, like you're like this, we went through this when we built our last bar. We were grandfathered into a bunch of stuff. Yeah. If you have like under 12 person capacity, then you don't have to do a bunch of shit. Right. And you don't need an engineer involved if it's like under a certain amount of money you're spending or like whatever. So... Yeah. So it's been very, very stressful, burning fucking money, even with the TI from the landlord, like just spending way too much. And like, we're not even close to being done. So I don't know where this
We're being very thrifty though. But as far as like expenses go, you guys have knocked off all the big things.
We're basically done. Yeah.
Like it's from here on out, it's just finishing. Yeah. Which is maybe 20% of total budget will be finishing. Well, yeah, because it's going to be all the stuff you see, so it feels like all of it. But
yeah, because like we spent like $40,000 on the architects, which is, I know they're doing a lot of work, but then you look at the empty building and you're like, oh, I already spent 40 G's.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Spent $30,000 on just the HVAC, which is on the outside of the building, like the ventilation and shit. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, $8,000, $9,000 on the plumber, like, just a lot of money on just random shit. And then like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, before we put up that first wall,
Yeah.
I was just looking, I'm like, nothing has changed. Like, we haven't done a single thing.
We moved one wall in 3 months. What the fuck?
And I've spent $100,000.
Yeah. It's pretty stupid.
So we were getting a little bit stressed, but
it's pretty stupid.
I'm feeling okay. I think like the opportunities, because I keep because like for context, my bar right now is 10 people. It's like, we don't even call it a bar. It's a tasting room, and we don't have a kitchen. And it's great. People love it. Like, our customers love it, but daily, not even exaggerating, daily, we get a call to the bar saying, hey, I have a 25-person retirement party.
Yeah.
Can we book your place? Sorry, we have 10-person capacity. Hey, I have a 30-person corporate getaway. Hey, I have a wedding party. Hey, I have a bachelor party. Daily.
Yeah.
Or I get people being like, hey, do you like have a kitchen, serve hot food? No, sorry, not coming by. Like,
Yeah.
So there's so many things that we're doing in the new place that is like, I'm just leaving tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, on the table.
At least probably $10,000 a month.
Or more.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Fuck it.
And part of it too is that we are we are out of space.
Yes. Absolutely.
For production. I could, because like the bar for us has never been a huge moneymaker. It like pays for the employees to be around, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And the customers like it. But
because currently you have your production facility and then you have storage across the entire goddamn city.
Yes, exactly. So we are out of space. Like, you've seen my place. If you follow us,
I haven't seen Headingley in like a year.
It's full. It's full. So I have 2 buildings, one in a town, Headingley, Manitoba, and then one here in Winnipeg. And both of them are literally like, we have pallet rack on every wall, pallets of wine up to the ceiling. We have to like disassemble shit and move it across the room to do something on the other side of the room. Everything in the winery is on wheels. We just move it to the front of the building in the bar during the week, and then move it to the back of the back. Like, you have to like shimmy past shit. Like, it's like we are full.
You're losing efficiency.
Oh, that's an understatement.
And what's your total like footprint right now? I know your Headingley footprint is really reduced because you have to fit one of those giant yard forklifts in there.
Yeah. So our entire winery production facility is 800 square feet.
Yeah, that's like my small apartment.
Yeah, and that's with like half of that storage as well.
Yeah.
There's like a mezzanine, but like the mezzanine's inefficient. We have to hand bomb upstairs to get shit up there.
Yeah.
And then my storage unit is 1,100 square feet. But yeah, it's not used very effectively because we don't...
That's it? It's only 11?
Yeah.
Oh. For some reason I thought it was bigger.
No, we don't have a forklift there, so we borrow the neighbor's forklift. And they're great. They're nice. We give them bottles of wine all the time. But we borrow their forklift, and it's one of these big-ass propane giant tire ones. So for it to be able to fully turn around, we can't put racking on the one wall.
Right.
So we're wasting like half the space. So like shit right now is sardined in there. Like, when we go to move shit, we have to spend an hour like pulling pallets out to get to what we want.
And you have a nice forklift at your main facility.
But we're not going to buy a second one because that was $12,000.
Exactly. So like I remember this conversation of like, okay, so we buy a second forklift to actually get proper functional use out of our second building, or we get a new building because amortized $12,000
because like the 2 buildings I'm paying for right now are like $2,600 a month plus $1,400 a month.
Yeah.
The new buildings, like, so that's like what, $4,000?
Mm-hmm.
The new building's like $6,500.
Yeah.
Or $7,000, whatever it is. So we're only paying like $2,000 or $3,000 more. So amortize, that's 6 months of a forklift.
Yeah.
Just saved by being in a new building, right? So it's like, you got to start thinking about it like that. Like, where's your money saves?
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, this, we were kind of joking, like, a lot of joke is said in jest, or a lot of truth is said in jest, where we're kind of joking about, like, we're pretty close to bankruptcy, honestly. Like, we NFC'd a fucking payment the other day. Haven't done that in like 5 years. $50 too. Fuck off. Like, where they tried to take it out of our bank, we didn't have enough.
Oh, that's not NFC.
Whatever. NFC is when you tap your cell phone. NSF. Yeah, that. Yeah, I haven't done that in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Fucks our business credit, but whatever. We already have all the credit cards we can possibly
you don't need more credit right now.
It's fine. So yeah, we're very close to bankruptcy. And we've been saying that. But then we're kind of like, thinking about it. We're like, we've been so much closer. Like
it's been worse.
Like
sure, the numbers are bigger, but it's been worse.
Yeah. Well, like sure, we're close to zero, but like we have so many more resources at our disposal now than we did when we were younger.
You got fucking options.
Like we have options. We have credit. We have employees. Like we have a lot of options. There was so much we could cut back. It would suck, but like we could.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Like we have so many more options because my option in 2017 when we were close to bankruptcy was go out and sell one type of, I don't want to say shitty wine, but like cheaper wine.
Yeah.
And that was my only option, was just sell more bottles of this one thing. And then if I sold out, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, because we couldn't afford to make any more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now you've got
have options.
6 figures of inventory.
Yeah.
That you could just like
$200,000, $300,000 of inventory.
Which you could just like cut the aging short on technically.
Well, I think, yeah, probably what we did during COVID when we were shut down and we were kind of fucked for money, before the SIBA loans came out, we just didn't make wine for 9 months.
Yeah.
And just sold out. So our cores ran out, but we just released more seasonals to counter it.
Yeah.
Because I have 35 wines, different wines aging. And I just like to keep 12 to 15 available at once.
Yeah.
And 7 of those are our cores. So if all the cores go, I just release 7 more seasonals. And people are like, where's the raspberry wine? I really like that one. No, sorry. Try this one.
We're quirky like that. We're a small winery.
And it was fine. And it got us through COVID. And we could do that again.
Yeah.
In like a year if we needed to.
Yeah. So you do have like a liquidatable inventory, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like it's not super liquid, but like you couldn't like liquidate it in a week.
No, but the customers want it. So yeah.
Yeah, you could liquidate some amount to a wholesaler potentially, get some upfront money, and then continue to move it steadily. But yeah, it's like you have a entirely different business model than I deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like literally it's hour to hour, day to day is how my profits are calculated, and that's it. Like we don't have. Well, we got options, like we don't get into the same crunches as you. We don't have the same overhead as you. So it's like, it's very boring. Contracting is a very boring business. And like, you don't need to be that like clever to run it, but you do have to be very resourceful and disciplined. So I guess that fundamental applies to everything. But yeah, it's like, it's always very fun listening to your stories. And I mean, I'll say this, if I ever get genuinely stressed out about your business situation, then that's going to be a real problem. But I'm not fucking worried.
I'm getting I look at the bills in the banks. Like we're in a lot of debt.
But your future looks bright, and there's a lot of upside.
It's not, yeah. And I was kind of talking about this with our friend Troy yesterday. That I was in town and I was seeing him. Shout out Troy. We were kind of talking about this, and I was like, I know because both of us not grew up, but like both of us were in the same business networking circles. Yeah. Like that's how we met actually, was he introduced us.
Oh no, grew up.
Yeah, we're getting old, but Troy introduced the two of us back in the business networking days where he used to throw these big networking events, and it was just entrepreneurs and artists, and that was basically it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how there's a lot of hacks, I want to say,
absolutely,
to be nice, that had, these tech companies that had these like tremendous bankruptcies because they have nothing to fall back on, right? I have inventory to fall back on, but like their entire value was speculative.
Yeah.
And it was just what a VC would pay for it.
Right.
Right. So like I've told this story before, and you know who I'm talking about, but he was like, I don't want to, like, if I say too many details, people will know. He went on Dragon's Den. That's probably too many details, but went on Dragon's Den with a tech company. That's all I'll say. Yeah. And I saw him at an event, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, man."
Canadian Shark Tank.
Yeah, it's Shark Tank. And I met him at an event, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like we're probably opening up with like a 16 mil evaluation. Like we got VC money. Like we're already on round 2. Like all this shit, right?" I saw him like 6 weeks later, and I asked him how business was, and he's like, "Oh, we're going bankrupt."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
because Google posted a new update.
Yeah, Google put them out of business, and no more details about that. But basically, I was laughing about this reminiscing about this with Troy yesterday, where it's like, how fleeting is that you can go from millions and millions of dollars of valuation to nothing?
And to be fair, he's probably back in the millions in terms of all the combined things he's doing. Like, he bounced back, but it took him a couple of years. And it's, I don't know 100% what he's into, but it's a little bit more concrete this time. So
yeah, which is great. Good for him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, it's not that he's a loser. It's just that he was in an industry that is like a lot of others. It's kind of predicated on hype and potential, and what it's in the eye of the beholder of like who's going to pay for this, right?
Yeah, and I know a lot of people say what you will about Gary Vaynerchuk, but he has a very salt of the earth kind of business mindset that I actually do like. Maybe I don't like a lot of the kind of hype man stuff, but I do like a lot of the. He told a story where he was speaking at a conference, and he was the last one to go, and the other like 8 speakers in front of him all stood up and they went, "Hey, I'm Richard Newgard, and I raised $47 million. And everyone claps. He sits down, and the next guy stands up. He says, "Hey, I'm Taylor Hugard, and I raised $119 million. And everyone claps, and he sits down. And then Gary stands up at the end, and he's like, "What the fuck are they teaching these people? Like, what do you mean this is what you raise? I don't give a fuck what you raise. What did you sell? Like, what, you know?" And I just remember he went on like an unhinged rant, like walked off because he's like, "What the fuck are we talking about?"
Yeah.
And I just that's always really, I saw that video when I was like 16. That always really stuck in my mind where I'm like, yeah, like why are people like, "Oh, we're opening this valuation"? It's like, I don't give a fuck what you're, you know what I mean? Like I've seen companies go from nothing to.
I mean, I've met at some tech conferences when I was still in that industry of like tech bros at conferences that were wearing their Patagonias and talking about like their next seed round, and it's like they still didn't they were still in like concept of a product.
Look at that. That was just eyeballing.
That's fucking talent. Willows just filled up 2 only 1 ounce shot glasses of tequila with ice almost to the brim perfectly, just eyeballing it. So good job, buddy.
Thanks.
It's almost like
buddy.
You're
literally a professional.
A liquor guy.
No, I'm actually a stamp guy.
Oh.
Anyway,
I meant alcoholic.
Right. We're going to transfer here into the part of the show that you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. This week's episode is sponsored by Maple Leaf Rubber Stamp. Get all your stamp needs at mapleleafrubberstamp.ca. They also make promotional buttons, ribbons of all kinds, different corporate seals, stuff like that. So check us out. Them out. mapleleafrubberstamp.ca. That's Maple Leaf Rubber Stamp on Instagram and Facebook as well. Tonight we are shooting 1800 tequila.
Wow. Cold?
But I made it cold, so we shouldn't die. And I don't hate 1800 tequila. Like Jose Cuervo, I'm probably gonna puke if I drink. Yeah. This is like fine, and I like gold more than whatever the other. Well, Ihaho. Was that racist?
Yeah.
Ahiho. What is it? It's like AJEHO, right? That's like what silver is technically, right?
I don't fucking know.
Pretty sure.
I'm not a tequila connoisseur.
I like tequila. Like, unironically, good tequila. I love the herbaceous taste.
Herbaceous. You're herbaceous.
Thank you, buddy. Cheers. Thank you, Maple Leaf Rubber Stamp, for sponsoring this episode.
Tastes like Ohio.
Never say that again.
It's what I feel, though.
Oh, yeah. You've spent time in Ohio. I have not.
And drank a lot of tequila, almost exclusive. Like, I would say, over this period of my life, more than 90% of the tequila I've consumed happened in Ohio. And I was only there for 3 months. So, I don't know if that tells you anything about the state, but it was a great time, and I remember very little of it. Thanks. Guy gives me 3 crispers. Two of which are broken.
I figured this would be a great thing to chew into the mic.
Like, why? That actually sounds pretty good. That's some ASMR. Can you hear that?
I stood up to get a napkin, and these like bag of chips were beside there, so I just took a handful of the bag of chips and put it on the table, and that was like in retrospect, a terrible idea for an audio podcast.
Sometimes I wonder who the fuck listens to the show and like is sitting there like nodding their head right now to the sound of. I swear to God, that's the last one. I'm done.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think like I'm kind of in this mode real like nowadays, the last 6 months where I'm like just grow or die, right? Where I'm like,
yeah,
I gotta focus on, and it's funny because we had a episode not go viral, but like we talked about this. I responded to porn star Riley Reed's tweet. She was like, I want to go on more podcasts. And I was like, I have a podcast with 6 listeners where we get drunk and talk about business stuff. Like, just gave the...
That was back in the day when a blue check mark meant something.
Yeah, just like gave the rundown. And like 150 people responded to the tweet being like, hey, this is actually a good idea.
Yeah.
And that episode, that was like the newest episode of the time, had like a spike, like higher streams than any other episode. And it was funny because that episode was me like super depressed, being like, I have no prospects. And like, there's like a bunch of comments on YouTube being like, man, this guy's going through it. Like, I hope he pulls through.
Just keep listening.
And like, I think I was being like hyperbolic for the most part. Like,
yeah, we've had some low ones.
We've had some low, but like that was like, I was kind of, and I think I said, I don't know if it was that episode, but I definitely said on this podcast and to you privately that like, I want to start something like a side hustle.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about that for a while.
And I've been telling you for a long time that that's what you're missing. It's like you're like, how, like, why is this so hard? And I'm like, if you're gonna do the hardest business, diversify.
Yeah, like, and I just like, I don't know.
But how do you do that?
It's hard. Well, and and like even like me and my roommate wrote like a little business plan.
Yeah,
when all maybe do something.
When all your time is taken up and you've got no more money left, how do you do something more?
Yeah.
When you got nothing left, how do you do more?
Yeah, and that was a big problem. But right now I've just been like, I used to like sleep in because I work in the nightlife industry. So I'd be up till 2 or 3 and then like sleep in till like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Now I'm just up till 2 or 3 and then waking up at 6 in the morning to go to the stamp business.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be able to do this for much longer. I can just tell.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I took
you and Zach, your business partner, both are like, yeah, this is unsustainable.
Yeah, we're both feeling it. Like we literally had to divide the businesses in half.
Yeah.
I'm like, you run your production at Shrug, don't think about the stamp business. So he hasn't been in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like since we went away on July 1st.
Yeah.
Since then he hasn't been back.
Well, I would say he's the real GC of the bar renovation.
Well, that's what I was about to say, is that I said, do your production at Shrug and GC the renos.
Yeah.
I'll run stamp and then help with the renos.
Yeah.
Like, so he's doing like basically renos full time and then production full time. I'm doing my sales full time and then stamp full time. And then he's helping me with some Shrug stuff. I'm helping him with some reno stuff.
Yeah. So
essentially what's happening.
So you each have a full-time job.
Well, we're both doing like 2.5 full-time jobs.
You both have 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But we had to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it was just too much for both of us.
Yeah.
So we're like, here's how we're going to divide it. Like,
yeah.
Because I'm not good at physical
renovations.
I don't have a mind for it.
Yeah.
He can fucking, I think you can too, like close your eyes and like see how something's gonna look after you build it. I can't fucking do that. I don't know.
Like, I get it. I've been on your side of the table, and I've walked into places where it was studs and it was demolition, it was whatever, and I was like, I'm at a loss. I don't even know where to start. And I'm like, I couldn't pick up a tool and make a difference right now. And it's just, I felt completely overwhelmed. And it's just like, I'm useless in this space. And it was like, but for me, my drive was like, I want to figure it out. And I just relentlessly chased after it until I figured it out. But that was like, because I'm like, I know I could. And that's the way my brain works. And I chased it. And it's like, but it took really, really long for me to get to the point of like, I can look at the skeleton of something and visualize the finished product. And it's like, yeah, I don't fucking fault you for the fact that you can't walk into this 6,000 square foot building and know exactly what to do next and what is like the priorities and what do you do right now with the next 5 minutes.
When I'm pretty good at self-awareness, I think. I get a little bit egotistical sometimes, but like for the most part, I think I know very well what I'm capable of. And I'm not going to be able to get good. I could spend full-time job on contracting and I would never get better.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Like, yeah. And there's times where it's like I fuck something up and like you guys are yelling at me and I'm like, don't you think I feel bad as well? Like I would love to be good at this shit and I just can't.
It's mostly because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's kind of funny when you fuck up because it's like we're all so stressed out and it's like the comic relief. We're like, fucking Willows.
I'm like, I'm trying so hard to be good at this,
which makes it extra funny.
Yeah, and so I know I never will be. So I'm like, okay, here's what we're gonna do.
It's fine.
Just tell me the days to show up or the nights to show up. Tell me what I'm doing. Give me one task. Like the other day when we were doing the floors, I was just sweeping for 8 hours. Like I was just sweeping shit. No, and then like I could do it.
That's what you gotta do.
And it was fine. And so that's what I told him with the renos, and then that's what I'm basically getting him to do with like stamp stuff. Yeah. I'm like, I just need you to do up this invoice. Show me how to do this in QuickBooks, whatever, but I'm managing it and then kind of telling him what's going on afterwards.
Yeah.
And I don't think we talked about...
So it doesn't take up like space in your brain.
Exactly. And vice versa.
Yeah.
So the renos aren't really taking up space in my brain. Stamps isn't really taking up space in his brain.
Yeah.
And then we're both focusing on Shrug, obviously. But it's nice that we have employees that we can rely on.
Yeah.
And I don't think we mentioned this. I'm just trying to think of when the last time we recorded is, but... My CEO of the stamp business resigned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too much for him. And I've hired a new one now.
Yeah.
So we won't get into that story because it's interpersonal and it was Zach's brother.
There's nothing to be learned from it.
There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing to be learned from
There's
the story.
no lesson here.
You can say, I told you so if you wanted to, because I think I don't know if you brought it up on camera, but you said it probably wouldn't work out. I know you for sure you did.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if it was on camera,
I had some skepticism about the person.
And you were right. To be absolutely fair, I also had some skepticism.
I was more so trying to be the devil's advocate. I didn't actually have a hard stance on it.
Yeah, I didn't really either, but like I had skepticism, but I'm like, it needs to work.
Yeah.
I'm a very like, well, it just needs to work. Like we need to make it work.
It got you over the starting line.
Yes. So he resigned after a month. And now I have a new CEO. I was going to say shout out him, but then I'm like, what if he resigns?
Before the next episode?
Before the next episode? No, Ethan.
He seems solid.
He seems very solid. He's actually the brother of another one of my employees at the winery. Yeah. So he's been very, very, very good. Very reliable, taking some initiative. And as we explained on the episode where I ran through the details of the project, there's ownership on the table for him. Yeah. So he has the potential to own 33% of the business after a certain amount of time worked and a certain amount of money put in. Yeah. So, so hopefully one day we can in a couple of years I can say my business partner Ethan and hopefully. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But he's ambitious. The biggest thing that hurts the business is like not great is that we're paying the previous owners $35 an hour to train us. So now I had to bring them back in and we had to start all over.
Yeah.
Like I owe them each like $4,000 or $5,000 right now.
Yeah.
And they're being very nice about it and being like, oh, don't worry about it. One more nice than the other, but the other one, I won't say his name, but one of the previous owners, he's great, but he walked in the other day and he was just like, I could tell he's having a bad day. He's you got to stop behind a train or something, Mm-hmm. And my employee goes, how you doing? And he's like, oh, I was supposed to be retired by now. I'm like, I know, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you. Like I'm trying my best.
But also in the grand scheme of things, like you've delayed him by weeks.
Yeah.
And it's been like 70 years.
Yeah. So it's fine. It is what it is.
It's fine.
But they also, there's a reason why they sold the business instead of just retiring and closing it, because they wanted to see it succeed.
Yeah.
So
existentially, he's a little bit upset, but in reality, he's like, he wants to be there.
No, but like, bro, you're upset. I'm upset. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Zach's upset.
And he wouldn't have shown up if he didn't want to.
You're exactly right. He's not contractually obligated to show up. Yeah. So, so hopefully, like I've spent every day this week there, and it's been going really smoothly, knock on wood. Yeah. But things have been going very well. We've been bringing in a lot of money. 23, or was it? Yeah, $23,000 in June.
Which is...
I think more than... No, 32,000. Wait, hold on.
I love when you reverse
No, 20. Sorry, no, 23. It's on pace to do like 230, 240, 250, something like that. Which is, we're not going to keep that pace because this is a busy season. Yeah, it was $23,000 in the first 30 days I took over.
Which is good.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, it's not like I think at the winery we did like 70.
Yeah.
But that is a fair chunk of change on fucking things I didn't even know existed. Stamps and ribbons and that I didn't know people bought.
This never came up in conversation when we're talking about businesses to do on the side.
Well, that's something like I have a list in my phone of like, well, I have a list of business ideas, and then I have another list of not dumb business ideas.
Yeah, and it was never on there.
No, and stamp business was never on there. There's a few things I want to do. Like I'd love to make like a hot sauce. I'd love to do a food truck at some point. Like stuff that I'm passionate about. There's a couple other things. Like a watch store would be cool. Like stuff that I'm passionate about that I would want to do. And stamp business was never on there. So now I'm like getting existential.
But I mean, like here's the piece of tangible advice: get involved. I guess you can do this with the same Bottle Girl Realtor. You can find businesses for sale locally, and that can cause a lot of inspiration. And a lot of these deals are pretty workable because people, small business owners and sole proprietors, often they don't have a retirement plan. They don't have a slush fund. They don't have anything really figured out for themselves, and all they've got is this business. And if you can work out a deal, often you can find yourself in a really cool position. Like I'm working on a project right now with a guy. He's got 40 employees. He works across probably half the country, working on some of the highest level work in his industry. And he got into the business begrudgingly because he had a client. He worked at like a financial services company, was just like doing investment management, whatever. It was like here, like I'll take your savings, and like I guess it would be like a registered what the fuck do they call this? Like an investment planner. Do you know what's the
registered? I think it's
Anyway,
a lot of them are I was gonna say CPA, but it's not a CPA.
Not CPA.
I think they're just called registered investment planner, right?
Something like that. But anyways, he was like one of those guys. One of his clients is like,
RIP,
hey,
registered investment planner. I don't think it's that.
No, it's not. But CFP, Certified Financial Planner.
Today I learned something.
Yeah, CFP, at least in Canada. But anyways, so he's a CFP, and one of his clients was like, please take my business. And he's like, what? No, I'm a CFP and I'm perfectly happy. He's like, you must take my business. I'm going to give you... He gave him terms like he couldn't refuse. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll run your business. And took over it. And yeah, the guy's got fucking 40 employees, does $10-12 million a year, and got connections through top tier industry professionals across the world. And is just like fucking living it up, doing huge stuff. And he's like, yeah, he's my age. He's 27, 28, and is just like running this amazing company. But he never sought it out. It just kind of fell into his fucking lap. I mean, super lucky. Well, the guy has a lot of privilege working in his favor. I'll grant him that. He's about as privileged as you fucking get. But still, the point being, a lot of these opportunities will come from pre-existing businesses. You don't need to go out there and create the next new or different and exciting or innovative and disruptive. That shit's overrated.
And almost impossible.
And usually impossible. Don't fucking go for that unless you actually are the person that has something fucking crazy and innovative on the cutting edge. And if you do, you'll know it. And if you don't, you know it.
I knew it since I was 8 years old.
You were cutting edge?
That I had something that other people didn't.
Right, but it wasn't like...
That first lemonade stand when I was 8 years old, I knew it.
You're the only one.
I'm not the first winery in the world.
I looked left and I looked right, and there was no other lemonade stands.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of great fucking businesses out there. So go and cut your teeth on something that exists.
Here's
because boomers are getting old.
Here's a story you might find interesting. I have this friend at the farmers market because I do a lot of farmers markets, and he sells like he makes like so he started making coffee. That's how I met him. And then like he was just buying beans, roasting them or whatever, right? Whatever.
Blending, roasting.
But yeah, whatever. He wasn't doing any like the labor himself. He was like, importing the beans, getting a roaster, and then like packaging them. Right.
Great.
And then, but he's like, I like coffee. That's why I did it. But like, I don't, I'm not super passionate about coffee. But what I'm super passionate about is chocolate. And my coffee guy has a chocolate guy.
Of course.
Or a cocoa bean guy or whatever, right? So he was like bringing in cocoa beans and like making chocolate bars. And then, so cool little businesses, great guy to talk to. All these stories all the time. Like his wife's like from Japan and they met in Japan. And like, so he's like always over there. And like, he has all these stories all the time. And then, so like, but he was so inconsistent with the markets. He would just like disappear for a month. And then we'd see him again. He's like, oh yeah, I was in Japan. Or, oh yeah, I was just doing like a bareback camping thing where I just like took a backpack and that was it. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, I was in Costa Rica. It's like, okay. And then we're like, kind of like, okay, buddy, like money, right?
How do you afford this lifestyle?
Because he always talked about how his like parents were poor and like all this. Yeah. And we're like, what are you doing? And so he's like, oh yeah, so I started this painting business when I was like 22. Ran it for 5 years or whatever, built it to like, 20 employees, like good millions of dollars of cash flow. But I hated it. Wanted to get out of it, so I sold it. But part of the deal is that he would get like 3% gross revenue in perpetuity.
Right.
And he's just been living on that for 20 years.
Nice.
And I don't know who the fuck
signed that deal.
I'm like, good for you, like, buddy. But like, I don't know who thought that was a good idea. That they're paying him
3% doesn't sound like a lot.
But on millions, right? Or no, maybe it was higher. But like
on gross.
No, on gross though. Yeah. So like before you profit, you pay. He gets paid.
That's a CEO bonus.
Yeah. So
I used to. I had a 6-figure job because I had a base salary plus personal commissions plus 2% top end royalty, or like gross royalty. Willis is dying. You're fine. Anyways, I mean, I had like a 2% royalty, and it was like 30-40% of my income.
Yeah, literally, which is scary because if the business ever,
right,
tanks, then it's like you lose your.
But that's my job. I mean,
it's to make it not tank.
If the business tanks, I also lose my job.
Yeah, which is also fair. But yeah, so like I don't know who and like me and my other friend who also knows this guy, we're kind of talking. We're like, I could see you signing that deal in like a weird, like I've seen those deals on like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Where it's like they have the intellectual property.
Right.
It's like, well, I want to sell the business, but it doesn't come with the actual intellectual property. You license that for me,
right,
from a certain amount of money, and those deals happen.
Yeah.
Because those are usually like from what I've seen, are like someone who invented something.
Right.
Is going to get like a lifetime.
Like if you've ever seen like the curved up wingtips on a commercial airliner.
Sure.
The engineer that made that and patented it lives in Winnipeg, lives in our city.
Cool.
And he's fucking rich. And he like worked for some company and he's like, oh, I have this amazing idea. On his own time, goes and makes this design, files the patent, and then licenses that patent to like Boeing and Airbus. And he's fucking wealthy and retired.
Yeah. So like there's deals like that, but on a company where you just like get some paint.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if it made sense to him, but he made it work.
Yeah.
And they signed a lifetime deal. As long as that brand exists, they pay him.
Yeah.
So he just lives on that fucking money and then basically does the markets as a hobby.
Yeah.
I love farmers markets, man. The people you meet.
Yeah, that's fantastic. People at very interesting points of their life are selling shit at markets.
When it's like it's the purest entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
is the people I meet there. Is like so many people that are like just had the weirdest idea or how they fell into it. It's like it's always interesting.
Yeah, I make some shit.
And it's like also interesting because like I'm at the big farm, like the biggest ones we do is probably like 120 vendors.
Yeah.
Biggest weekly ones. Like I'll do one-offs that are like 300. But, you know, compared to like there's like Ottawa farmers market that's like 500. There's like Toronto that's huge, right?
Right.
But probably out of like 150 weekly vendors, like I bet 15% of them are doing it full time.
Right.
A lot of them are maybe 30 at the max. But a lot of them are just like full-time jobs during the week, and then they do it as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Which, great, good for them. But that kind of threw me off. I remember when I was like starting, where I just assumed everyone was doing it full-time. Because I'm like, how do you have time for these markets and a job and kids? Like,
yeah, because entrepreneurship isn't that hard.
Yeah, it's really easy, actually. Entrepreneurship is like the easiest entrepreneurship.
It's basically like a curling hobby, where you go curling on the weekends with your bros.
Nobody listening knows what curling is.
Curling is...
We have 70% of our audience is in America.
It's kind of like hockey, but with rocks.
Hockey sticks?
No sticks, just rocks.
Oh.
Google it.
Me selling weed.
What?
I don't know. No sticks. Just rocks. That's another thing I'm selling.
Oh, that was your brand? No sticks, just rocks? Stick Rock.
Yeah, stickrock.ca. Please
oh, wait,
buy my weed.
That's golf.
I would start a weed brand if it wasn't more regulated than liquor somehow.
If it wasn't worse than what you're already doing.
Would somehow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, wait till psilocybin is a thing. Nobody does that.
Psilocybin-laced apple cider. We call it psilocyber, I'm telling you.
Whoo! And you order it online, so cyber with a Y. Anyways, I think we burned out all of our fucking brain juice on this episode.
Isn't that weird?
You're welcome.
Yeah. We have to do this once and so often. It's like, never mind. I was going to make a bad sex joke. You can fill in the blanks. Just like I did on this podcast.
Speaking of shooting blanks, that is Willows.
Hello, that Tyler. Speaking of wearing a weird shirt, that's Tyler. Me and his mother hate his ripped jeans. We share that in common. Is there anything...
I'm like kind of self-conscious.
Is there anything, now that we're under the influence of alcohol, that you've changed your mind about that we've talked about on the podcast?
Yeah, you shouldn't have bought that bar.
The bar, I'm kind of sus about. The stamp business, I'm like doubling down on. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, you're good.
I think upgrading during our busy season, during buying a business, I think this might bankrupt us. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
To see if I go out of business.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
It's July 12th today of 2023. We will be moving into the new place August 1st is the plan.
Grand opening to BA.
Yeah, if the bar can be like open full capacity for Christmas, I'll be happy.
Oh, we'll hit that for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But like, I want to have like events. Because we're doing the event space first. Like, we can do events with fucking fold out Costco tables.
Yeah, I would like to soft open for Halloween.
I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is, as soon as we get out of the summer and we're not doing markets, my money just dries up. So
yeah.
We got to do the bulk of the construction before, otherwise.
Then it's mostly my time, not necessarily lots of money.
That's also fair. So we'll figure it out. So yeah, stay tuned to see if we went out of business. It'd be really fun to
Alex Jones cliffhanger. We might not see you again.
It'd be fun to do this podcast like as me as an unemployed.
Just us at a bus stop.
Well, I'm doing like 30 episodes a week because I'm just like sitting at home. Like
at a bus stop.
I think if I was unemployed, like if I lost all the businesses and had nothing to do, I would like stream on Twitch like 20 hours a day. Until I got famous.
Until it worked, yeah.
Like, I feel like you don't need that many followers to like make not a good living, but like a living where I can live on. Like I've lived on $8,000 a year before.
Yeah.
I feel like I could make $8,000 a year on Twitch if I streamed like every waking moment I was awake.
I think you could too, especially if you start taking your clothes off.
If I thought I could make money on OnlyFans, I would have done it already.
True.
No, I probably could. I'm just like...
so next week we're going to talk about OnlyFans and how much money we made since then.
I am very open to having an OnlyFans girl on the podcast as a guest.
Fuck yeah. That'd be amazing.
Here's my problem is that, not to be mean to any of you, because I love you, I love entrepreneurs, none of the ones that I'm like very close with are like very super successful. You know what I mean? Like if you have an OnlyFans, but you also have a job, I'm kind of like,
Like you want some of this, like a little bit of virality.
Yeah, well, even just like doing it full time.
Sure.
Right? Because like...
sex work as a career.
Yeah, like...
I'm down.
I don't know about sex work as a part-time gig.
Sex work as a hustle?
I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to judge anyone.
It is a hustle, obviously.
I'm just very...
just in terms of like pure strategic business conversation.
Just as a business conversation. That's what I mean.
No fucking judgment, obviously.
No. Like, so it's funny because, no, I'm not judging the sex work part. I'm judging the part-time part.
The success part.
Yeah, that's what I'm judging. I love
that's
sex
funny.
work. I'm like, that's the same way I judge people. Like, when I started my business, I just went in.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking have a job and do the business. I just did the business.
Yeah.
The hours you spend on a job, just spend it on the business. That's what I'm mad about. Like, thank you for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. It's nice to be back. This like feels right.
Feels a little normal.
Feels like we're getting back to normal after we flatten the curve. Hold on, 9 more seconds and we're at exactly an hour. Except I was like doing a bunch of shit right at the beginning.
Google that curve.
Okay, bye.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.